of Greenleaf Valley, where the hills roll like waves of emerald and the air always carries the scent of pine and damp earth, lived a young woman named Elara. People often asked her how she maintained such a bright smile, even when the winters were harsh or the harvest was lean. To Elara, life was not about the absence of storms, but about the way one chooses to look at the rain. She believed that every problem, no matter how tangled, held the seed of its own solution, if only we watered it with optimism. Her garden was a testament to this philosophy. It wasn't perfect. There were weeds among the roses and stones amidst the soil. But Elara didn't see the weeds as enemies. She saw them as a reminder of nature's persistence. While others complained about the rocky ground, she used those very stones to build paths and walls. A heavy stone is a burden if you carry it, she would say, but it is a foundation if you place it down. Optimism was her tool, transforming obstacles into stepping stones. However, the tranquility of Greenleaf was not destined to last forever. One afternoon, the sky, usually a canvas of azure, turned a bruised purple. The wind ceased its gentle whisper and began to howl like a wounded beast. A storm, the likes of which the elders had not seen in decades, was descending upon them. Panic spread through the village like wildfire. Doors were slammed, shutters were barred, and hearts were gripped by the icy hand of fear. Yet, inside her cottage, Elara lit a single candle. The night was long and loud, filled with the sounds of breaking timber and rushing water. When dawn finally broke, it revealed a landscape of despair. The great oak tree in the village square had fallen, crushing the community notice board. Roofs were stripped of their tiles, and the once pristine fields were turned into muddy swamps. The villagers stepped out into the gray light, their faces mirroring the devastation around them. "All is lost," cried the baker. "How will we recover?" wept the farmer. Elara stepped out too, her yellow dress stark against the mud. She saw the ruin, yes. She felt the weight of the loss. But then she tilted her head upwards. Through a tear in the thick blanket of gray clouds, a single determined shaft of sunlight pierced through, illuminating a puddle of water. In that dirty water, the sky was reflected perfectly. "Look," she whispered, not to anyone in particular, but to the spirit of the morning. "The sun is still there. The storm could break our houses, but it could not break the sun." She approached Mr. Thomas, the village elder, who sat with his head in his hands. "It's hopeless, Elara," he groaned. "The bridge is out. We are cut off from the market. The crops are drowned." Most people would agree with him. Logic dictated that the situation was dire, but optimism is not the denial of logic. It is the refusal to be paralyzed by it. Elara placed a hand on his shoulder. "The bridge is broken, Mr. Thomas. That means we cannot go to the market today. But it also means we have all the wood we need to build something better right here." While the others mourned what was lost, Elara began to curate what remained. She didn't wait for help. She became the help. She started clearing the debris from the village square. It was heavy work. Her hands grew sore and mud splattered her face. A young boy watched her, confused. "Why are you working?" he asked. "It's too big a mess." Elara paused, wiping her brow. "A mountain is climbed one step at a time, little one. If I look at the whole mess, I freeze. If I look at this one branch, I can move it." Optimism is contagious. It spreads faster than fear because it speaks to the part of the human spirit that yearns to rise. The little boy picked up a branch. Then his mother came to help him. Seeing this, the baker picked up a shovel. Slowly, the heavy shroud of collective depression began to lift. They weren't fixing the village because they were sure they would succeed immediately. They were fixing it because the act of trying gave them purpose. Elara hummed a tune as she worked, a melody that wove itself into the rhythm of their labor. By midday, the paths were clear, but the giant fallen oak tree still blocked the main square. It was an immovable obstacle. The men tried to push it with ropes, but it wouldn't budge. Frustration bubbled up again. "We need heavy machinery," someone shouted. "We are stuck." Elara walked around the massive trunk, running her hand over the rough bark. She didn't see a blockade. She saw texture, history, and potential. "Why move it?" she asked softly. "Why move it?" she repeated, turning to the crowd. "This tree has stood here for 100 years watching over us. It is tired. Let it lie down. If we flatten the top, it becomes a table long enough for the whole village to sit together. We don't need to remove the obstacle. We can transform it into a gathering place." Silence fell. Then the carpenter smiled. The problem, the immense weight of the tree, was actually a gift. Its weight made it stable. Its size made it inclusive. And so, the saws sang and the chisels danced. The sound of destruction was replaced by the music of creation. People who hadn't spoken in years were now working side by side, sanding the wood smooth. The optimism Elara sparked had shifted their focus from what we lost to what we are making. They forgot about the mud on their boots because they were focused on the beauty of the grain emerging from the wood. Problems, Elara knew, are often just opportunities wearing work clothes. By sunset, the great oak table was finished. It was magnificent, glowing with the golden hue of fresh wood. The villagers brought whatever food they had saved from the storm, a basket of apples, loaves of bread, a pot of soup. Individually, it was meager rations. Together, spread across the new table, it was a feast. They sat down, exhausted but exhilarated. The storm had taken their notice board, but it had given them a place to truly communicate. As the laughter echoed into the night, Elara sat by the stream. The water was still muddy, but the moon reflected on it just the same. She realized that optimism isn't about ignoring the mud. It's about trusting that the water will clear. It is the deep knowing that life flows. When we encounter a rock, we can crash against it, or we can flow around it, changing our shape but keeping our essence. The valley was different now, scars and all, but it was also more alive. In the weeks that followed, Greenleaf Valley transformed. The soil, churned up by the storm, turned out to be incredibly fertile. The flowers bloomed brighter than ever before. The broken tiles were replaced, often with colorful mosaics made from the shattered pieces. The scars of the disaster became the art of the recovery. People walked with a lighter step, not because life had become easier, but because they knew they could handle the hard parts. Even Mr. Thomas changed. He no longer sat on his rock complaining about the weather. Instead, he became the village storyteller, gathering children around the great oak table to tell them tales of the big storm and how they turned a fallen giant into a gathering place. He learned that while we cannot control the wind, we can adjust our sails. His pessimism had been a shield against disappointment, but he found that optimism was a far better shield because it was also a sword that cut through despair. Problems are inevitable. They are the friction that polishes our souls. Without the storm, the village would never have come together. Without the fallen tree, they would never have had their table. Elara understood that a problem is only a dead end if you stop digging. If you keep digging, it becomes a tunnel to somewhere new. Optimism is the shovel. It is the grit to say, this is not how the story ends. One summer afternoon, rain began to fall again. In the past, heads would have bowed and doors would have locked. But this time, people looked up. Children ran out to dance in the puddles. The baker put out buckets to catch the fresh water. They remembered. They remembered that rain brings life. They realized that a positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring the wetness. It means enjoying the chance to dance. The fear was gone, replaced by a resilient joy. Elara held a small seed in her hand. It was hard, dry, and looked lifeless. This is a problem, she thought. It is hard and closed off. But she knew the secret. Inside that hardness was a forest waiting to be born. We are all seeds. Our challenges are the dirt covering us. It might feel dark, it might feel heavy, but it is necessary. With the light of optimism, we push through the dirt to find the sun. Greenleaf Valley is more beautiful now than it ever was before the storm. Not in spite of the damage, but because of the repair. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The brightest stars are seen in the darkest nights. And the happiest lives are not those without problems, but those who know that for every problem, there is a path forward, painted in the bright colors of. So, whenever you face a storm in your life, remember Elara and the fallen tree. Do not ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I build with this? Be the architect of your own joy. Let your optimism be the sun that never sets, even when the clouds gather. Because in the end, everything is solvable if you just keep looking for the light.